Hi, it's Tony again with Stanwell Hydro Excavation. As I promised newtry, I'd do another video of their 12-button remote, wireless crane remote. We previously did a video on the 8-button, and now we're going to do the 12-button. So we hooked this 12-button up on our vac truck, and same thing, love it. A lot of nice features. Very handy. One thing that I would love to see and maybe suggest to them is that we put a button or two on it that would lock down and stay actuated instead of, see, all these buttons on here now, as you press them, they just supply power. As soon as you depress them, the power leaves. So almost like a toggle switch would be nice to have a couple of them where you press it down, it stays locked down, and you have to press it again to deactuate it. So, but definitely not a deal breaker. Very nice setup. Here's the remote. It's every bit the same as the 8-button, but you get the button number 1, 2, 3, and 4 in addition to the others. So we used on the 8-button, we used the RO start button as what knocked our vacuum relief in and out. With the extra buttons here, we were able to use number 1 for that. And then also for number 2 and 3, we ended up using that for our throttle up and down, so that we could actually raise and lower the throttle of the truck from button number 2 and number 3. So that was very nice to have that addition, because we could not get that on the other one. I'll go over wiring here in a few, but let's just kind of go through and watch what this thing does. So we've got the up button here, of course. So we're going to go up with the boom. And we have a down button. So we can go down with it. And then we have an east and west. So we kind of just lined it up by stepping in front of the truck. So, you know, if we want to go to the right or we want to go to the left, then we can. And then I have a north and south that was on this too, just like it was on the 8-button. So the north we have wired to run the boom out. And then we have the south to run the boom back in. Now, as I said before, we use the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3, you know, to supply power to the things that we wanted power to. So on this particular truck, we have what's called a vacuum relief. I'm going to start this pony motor up, and this vacuum relief on the main board right now is on. There's power to it, so it has it actuated, so there is no vacuum coming through the hose, and the pony motor is at idle right now. So as I said, we used number 1, and if you press number 1 and you go back to the main board, then you can release this and put this off. And you see that the light is still on. We do not have any vacuum, and the pony motor is still at idle. So if I depress this, that actuates everything. You see our light is off. You hear the vacuum coming through the hose, and our pony motor is up at working RPMs now, as you can see. So if I push this thing again, that actuates it to shut everything back down, runs the pony motor back down to low idle, and we have no vacuum coming out of the hose. Now this is one of those buttons where it would have been nice to have had where you push it down and it stays down, and you have to push it again for it to raise it back up, because then you wouldn't have to keep it held. But again, it's not a deal breaker. It gives me time to walk back over here to the main board and turn this back on, and then I can release this. We're good. So as I said, on number 2 and 3, there is a a throttle on and off on this board also, and it controls the throttle of the truck. So what I've done is we put number 3 wired for the throttle up, so I can press number 3 and we can raise the idle of the truck up to working RPMs. And that's what supplies the pressure when we're using the rotor hoses and things like that. And now I can take the number 2 and I can decrease it. Very handy, very, very handy. Again, one of the other things, I would have liked to have maybe used one of these for the throttle on off, so that we would have access to that standing away from the truck. Again, not a deal breaker, but it would have been nice to have where you could press, it stays down, and you could press it again and it depresses it in order to deactivate it. So, very nice unit. Again, just like the 8 button, very nice. We did mount the box right here. Now, we originally had the 8 button box down here, and we raised it up over here because it just fit a little bit better right here. And as we did on the other one, the 8 button, we did take the lid off of it. There is an O-ring in it, but we had read some complaints that they leaked and got some water in them and ended up getting to the circuit board and frying in. So we ended up taking that off, run a bead of clear silicone around it, and then put it all back together. Now we had very good luck doing that with the 8 button. We washed this truck, it gets wet, it's in wet conditions every day, so it seemed to work out just fine. Now, the model number on this particular one is the newtry F23BB. That is the model number for that. I will put a link in the comments where you can purchase this exact unit. Let's go over some of the wiring. Now on this one, the 8 button, the difference I see in this one and the 8 button is the 8 button was color coded. Okay, this one here you're going to get numbers, and they're all, they are all white wires. Okay, so, but every one of them has a number on it. Very informative, but there's kind of a lack of information as far as what wire to hook where to get power, to trigger the circuit board and all that stuff. So basically on this one, you have a number 1 and a number 2 wire, which their ends of those 2 wires are red, and the reason for that is the red meaning that's your main power wires. One of them is going to be positive, one of them is going to be negative. So we ended up using the number 1 was positive, the number 2 was negative. Now, on your positive wire, you are also going to have you're going to have the 2 communication wires on this one. Okay, the other one had 1 communication wire, which we call trigger wire. I'm going to walk over and grab the other direction here real quick so that we can make sure we get this right. But so if you go to the wiring note, which they are supplying now, which is nice, the line number 3 and number 5 are they're your trigger wires. Okay, so you're going to want to wire them with however your system works. If your system works by ground, they'll be wired with the ground. Our particular unit was wired with the positive because everything is run off of positive wires on our truck. So the trigger wires and your power wire all together, and then you've got a ground wire. So then on your other wires, it's all pretty self-explanatory. They did a nice job of putting in there what to do, or where they go. So as I said, the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, and the number 5 we've already discussed. Now there is a number 4, and that's a main power wire too. but that's power coming out of the box. And if you don't have anything that has like a stop switch or a kill switch, you really don't need that wire, so cap it off. But make sure you cap it off because there is power coming through it. And then the rest of them are pretty self-explanatory. I mean, you have a number 6 is your up, 7's down, your 8 wire is east, your 9 wire is west, your number 10 is south, your number 11 is north, and then you get into your 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that is your R1 is 12, your R2 is 13, your R3 is 14, and your R4 is 15. And then you can still use that start switch, that RO start switch that we used on the 8 button. That's really nice for like if you have a starter motor on something that you want to push it and engage a starter. It'll start the engine or what have you, and then you can let off of that and it takes the power away from it. So that's kind of a handy feature too. So thank you for watching my video. Please like this video, and if you could, subscribe because it sure helps.